Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's take a look at using quick calculations in Mac numbers. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now usually when you're performing calculations in numbers, you select a new cell and you enter a formula in that cell that then adds up or does some other calculation on other cells. But there's a quick way to get things like sums and averages or find the greatest or lowest number in a group, and that's using quick calculations. So here I've got a sample little spreadsheet, and if I select just one cell in that spreadsheet, like this one, I'll see at the bottom the value of that cell. In this case it says the actual value is 39. Now if I select more than one cell, I'll see something different down there. I'm going to hold the Command key and select a second cell. So now I have two selected. And now you can see the value is gone and it's replaced with this list of quick calculations, also called instant calculations. So you can see right here the first one is sum, and you can see it says 77. And sure enough, 39 plus 38 is 77. So I get a quick sum here of all of the cells selected. I'll also see the average, the minimum value, the maximum value, and count A, which is the number of cells that have a value in them. Now if I select another cell like this one, you could see it's now adding up all three of these, getting the average of all three, and the min and max of those. I can select all of the cells in this column here like that by clicking with the Shift key, and I could see here count A tells me I have 16 values, and it's not including this one because it's empty, and I've got the sum and average there. I can also simply click the letter at the top of the column, and what that will do is it'll give me the values, but it knows enough not to use any header cells there. So it's not going to try to add the word apples into this or include it, except that it will actually include it here in the number of cells that have an actual value. So it shows me that there are 17 that have an actual value here, including apples. But the sum and the average are going to be based on just the ones that are the actual cells, not the header cells. So the average here of 24.375 is the same as if I only select these. Now the cool thing is you don't have to just select things in the same column. I can select this cell and then Command click and select several other cells like that. And then I can get the sum of everything selected. I can continue to add some things in there. So you can get things like sums and averages or find the lowest and highest value with a variety of different selections. If I want to select this to find the highest value, there it is. Maximum is 39. And I can see the average for all these cells is just under 19 here. Now you don't have to just settle for these 5 different functions. If you click here, you'll see a list of all the functions that you can get along the bottom. So the defaults are at the top here. But you can add some more. So for instance, if I wanted the median value, I could select that and add it in. So now I can see the median value for all of these is 24. And that will stay there. So I can select another range of cells and see the median value. You could also rearrange these. So I can move median over to the left just by dragging it and placing it there instead. And I can scroll back and forth with the trackpad here if there's more than that could fit in the area. Or you've got these little arrows here you could click. You can easily go in here and remove ones you don't need and add ones that you do. Another neat thing that you can do with these is you can drag and drop them. So let me add another table here. And I'm going to move this over to the side. And let's say I want to use this for some calculations. If I wanted to get the sum of all of these, I could select them like that. And I could drag and drop. And it will add a formula in here. If I select this, I could see it's giving me the sum from C2 to C18 of the sales table. It'll allow you to do some complex calculations that are not easy to type otherwise. For instance, if I wanted to take these cells here and then maybe add a few there and a few here and maybe a couple here, and for some reason I wanted the average of all of these, I could drag this over into here. And if I look at this here, you can see it's going to do the average of, and then it's got each individual range in there. So that might take me a little while to type, but to actually do the selection and then drag and drop like that was pretty quick. Another great thing you could do with these is you could get the sum or average of a filtered table. So if I were to go and add a new row into the table like that and then change the table so it had one footer row there, and then I were to use the sum formula here, so sum, and then I'm going to click on C there for the whole column, it'll give me the sum. But if then I go to Organize, Filter, add a filter and use the sale column there and say I'm going to exclude everything that's got true in it, you can see the sum is still the complete sum of all of the cells in this column. It's not taking into account the filter. However, if I forget about that and instead select this here, I can see the sum is 390, and now I add that filter in. Notice that the sum here in the quick calculations is in fact the filtered amount. So here it says 390, here it says 322. So that's really great to be able to get a quick calculation on a filtered table without having to write a complex formula that also mimics the filter with sum if or average if or something like that. But I think the best use of quick filters is to eliminate the need a lot of times for these footer rows here. Those are great if you really always need to see the totals, and it's a very important part of that table. But if you only occasionally need to see the totals, you can just select all of the cells with a double click there of the letter and you get the sum right there at the bottom. And you can do that whenever you need it without having to have an extra row at the bottom. And you can have situations where you can have a table like this and completely avoid using calculations at all, just using the quick calculations there for your needs, which is great if you're not familiar with spreadsheets and don't feel like getting into functions and formulas right now. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.